Hey there everyone, welcome to Squee-El's gaming channel, and today it's No Man's Sky. I'm starting a new series that was inspired by my recent Ark playthrough. I'm going to call this one the Base Showcase. Ark was kind of the game that really kind of started this whole new survival building kind of gameplay, and it's inspired many games like No Man's Sky here, Conan Exiles, Citadel, Forged with Fire, even this game called Atlas. Now we're going to be getting Ark 2 soon, and there's just a lot of games picking up on this whole base building element. And I kind of wanted to. I've already started playing some of them at the time of starting this channel, so I wanted to dial back and highlight some of the bases that have already been built before we get into new content in the future here. This is my little flagship, my mothership. There's a lot of elements that really set No Man's Sky apart in this little genre. But this is just the easiest place for me to get to a teleporter. Can show you guys my little rough collection of my ships. We're gonna do a little bit of warping around as I show off a few bases. I was using that ship for the longest. I've got my own living ship over there. That ship was fun. This is the newest ship, the solar ship. And I do also have the squid ship. I have a white one, which is the one of their fancy ships. So I've got a decent collection of ships, actually. Yeah, there it is, the old squid ship. Got a decent collection of ships at this point. There's really only one that I would swap out, but I'm sure they'll add a new ship eventually that I'll probably want, and that's when I'll have to get rid of that slot. I did kind of pimp out the inside of my freighter a little bit, made it a little accommodating. I mean, kind of did like a little TV looking setup here. Got like a kitchen area back here. So I guess you could kind of count my freighter as like my first base. It wasn't the first base I built, but I actually had to rebuild it at one point because it kind of got wiped for some reason. There's the teleporter, which is what I'm here for, and then that's just a... that was just for fun, just to see how far I could push the hallway out away from the ship. I'm going to use the teleporter, but I wanted to show you guys also the bridge. Pretty cool. I even got a little robot companion in there with my guys here. But now we're just going to kind of... I've got a couple outposts that I may ignore, but we're going to sort of just go down the list and start looking at some of my bases over the time. Let's go to the first colony. This was my first base that I ever technically built in this game. I am playing on creative mode. It's convenient in No Man's Sky because it's just an option you choose right off the bat. There's no real cheating or anything involved. It's just once you choose to play in creative mode, you can build however you want. I will say, if I had known what I know now when I first started playing No Man's Sky, I would have built some crazy stuff. There was a lot of learning curves in this game. This game was really actually pretty deep. But here we are. My first base was ironically on a little snowy planet, and it's... Some of the bases get a little overtaken when you are away for a while. Like, no one's been here for a while, so now there's just like snow built up. I don't even have any staff at the stations here, because you can only have staff at one station per, your whole setup. There's this random bridge I built just because I wanted to have a big fancy bridge, and in the end it wasn't even that fancy. I did a garage here, which I had a car in there for the longest time. But yeah, it respawned over here. I had built a taming pen, but taming ended up not really being a thing in this game, so that ended up going to waste. And then there's this little puddle here, kind of under the whole little base setup that I've been running around in here. And this is what was interesting, because I built a little subterranean compartment, which is also a little overtaken. This was staffed at one point as well, and it even goes all the way through, and then there's a submarine at the end of this hall here. Yeah, you can kind of see it. I could terraform that to get that out of the way, but there's not really much to see there. That just leaves random compartment that I just threw together, bunch of underwater stuff. But then this comes up right over here. where I went ahead and built a little bit more because this is a whole underwater cave that I found while going through the water under my base. Some random resource gathering equipment that I was just kind of throwing out. Some mech and some equipment to possibly traverse this tunnel. And I went ahead and built kind of like a, wow, this is overtaken too. This little chill lobby area slash kind of garden complex. It's all kind of gone unmaintained now. But yeah, again, this was my first base, so for what it was interesting. I moved on from this one pretty quick because you don't really spend a whole lot of time on any one planet in this game. I did for a minute to really get all this together, but your ship, your freighter's kind of more of your hub, so you end up not even having to rely on your base as much. I could even technically have my main staff on my freighter if I built the stations for them. I just don't think that's as interesting. But we're gonna, oh yeah, there's a little second floor here, a little dome area I just kind of built. Just the top area to kind of look around, some random stuff up there, nothing really major. But it's always back to the teleporter. So I immediately found this planet that I thought was kind of cool. Named it Isengard for no particular reason. I built like a little tower on this one. This base is nothing really worth speaking to at all. This was the second base I built. I just immediately wanted a base on another planet so I could link up the teleporter and test it out with the teleporter that I had linked to my main base, just so I could pretty much have a functioning teleporter. And then this base was never ever used again once I moved on from this one. But we're gonna check it out today. I haven't been here in a while, so curious to see what's been going on. It loaded me in a weird way, so now I have to be up on the rooftop here. But yeah, there's like a little portal room. You kind of come out to this sort of crossway here. A whole little connected system here with a few different things. There's a teleporter, save point, you know, the main teleporter, and the base, I guess you could call that's like the main room over there. Let's see if this teleporter works. It does. But, kicker, it does not take you back up. I have just found that, like, pretty much most of my teleporters just don't work anymore. Like, I don't know what the deal is. It's always a risk coming back to any old base and using a teleporter. But this base has just, like you can see, it's just pretty much a tower. It's got some stairs that'll take me all the way back up top. And then this plus what you guys just saw, that's it. That's this whole base. It's got a couple landing pads. Ships come by once in a while. And woo, yeah, well. Managed to do a slight save though, so it's not a total loss. I guess I just gotta take this slow. Not enough railings, couldn't build enough. But that's it, yeah, we're moving on from this one. And then the next one, yeah, is Fortress Spaceport. This one actually, kinda same deal as Isengard here. It was just, this was actually at the time I hadn't explored a whole lot yet, and this was just one of the first planets that really kind of just struck me as like wow visually, and it made me want to build my next base here. Did something kind of interesting here, but ultimately it's sort of, again, same situation as Isengard. I didn't come back here a whole lot, and this base wasn't really much needed. There's kind of this crater thing that I just built over, and there's nothing down there. I built a teleporter that could bring you back up. Ironic thing is, though, like I was saying, my teleporters have been having issues, so it probably doesn't work now. But yeah, it's got some rings just That's what I thought made this plan stand out. And I built a fairly simple kind of little base here. It's just another little tower. I don't think I'm going to climb all the way up there and show you guys. There's just kind of like a little top room with the, that has sort of your standard couple screens. There's a food station, the base computer or whatever, the main computer, and a save point, blah blah blah. Everything you'd need. And that's really it. That's as far as this base just is kind of for show. I thought this one was really cool and it got me away from Isengard. Now, on to the next base, base number 4. I pretty much, during my first little playthrough with this game, and when I was kind of going the hardest, I ended up kind of really cranking out 5 bases in the first little spurt before I really stepped away from this game for any amount of time. So I kind of went to a bunch of different planets, and I decided there were 5 different ones I wanted to build on for various different reasons. They were all kind of semi-different. I had semi-different base ideas. I was kind of playing with the mechanics of the game, really getting to know it, because this was a lot different than what I'd been used to through Ark and Conan. But this one is pretty much on a moon. There's some underground caves here that are nearby that you can explore. I didn't really mess with that a whole lot. Once again, it kind of spawned me in weird, so just gonna actually can't get in that way because the stuff is kind of, it's overgrown. Yeah, most of these bases I'm showing you guys right now I haven't been to in a while. Yeah, this area is completely overtaken, but you can still kind of see most of the base. This was meant to be like a garage type area. Work on the mechs or whatever if I needed to. And then you would come up here, and this was sort of just a really kind of chill modern home type area, minus the slight overgrowth that you're seeing now. And you could see out all the windows and stuff, kind of just like a moon base, but it had everything you really needed. And then got a couple vehicle pads. Oh, this is totally overgrown. Wow, that's crazy. I feel like we're exploring some ruins together at this point. It's like I built this stuff. It's an interesting twist. But yeah, I'm not going to dig it all out. I could, and maybe I will when I get to one of the bases that I know I'm going to care about a little bit more. But this is just sort of the little command center. There's a teleporter that would take you up there. Yeah, there's a landing pad up there for your ship. And that's pretty much it. This is a nice big, this is a moon, so it doesn't really have an atmosphere. You can see the other planets nearby. I thought it was cool, and since it was technically like a moon, it was fitting to build a little base on it. Some thought went into this one, but another kind of casual build. It took me a minute to really kind of commit to a full base build and kind of just really claim a base as like, okay, this is where I'm going to be. This is where I'm posting up. So, on to the 5th base now, called the Way Station. This is kind of the last base I made for a minute. I was doing the main quest line back when I was still kind of doing those quests. And I thought that I was going to be able to push towards the center of the universe, and I went for a while. I got pretty far, but ultimately burned out and just gave up on it. But, this was one of the planets. Wow, this is some glitch, guys. That's a new one. I've never seen that before. Oh, thankfully it fixed itself. Woo, that was fun. But yeah, this is one of the planets that I stopped at and decided to build a little outpost before I traveled too much farther, since I was so far away from anything else that I had built at this point. This planet was actually kind of dangerous. I really built here out of necessity. I thought the brutal conditions were actually pretty cool. But I found this cave that was just convenient here. And I quickly sort of decked out a little path down into here where I could build an outpost, which is probably going to be overtaken. Again, I haven't been to these outposts in a while. And there it is. Just under the surface here, safe from the crazy rain that's going on up top. I'm not sure how much we'll be able to see inside. This is actually a multi-level complex. Nothing super sophisticated. Got a plant room, got a lobby. Come down here, you got kind of a bunch of different stuff. Really, this is like a lab type area. Wow, I'm kind of digging how this one got overgrown a little bit. It's not really intrusive. It's sort of working with everything, the overall look. So that's what's up. And then there's just kind of this open space, kind of like a hidden bedroom. Wait out the storm. This base would kind of be like, you know, it's the way station. It's your retreat out in the ends, in the darker, far reaches of space. Now that's just this kind of this all-you-need facility. The landing pad is up by that entrance that we came in through, but the cave over here does end up hitting this little space here where I had a teleporter. Of course it doesn't work, you know, like I said, that's going to be a theme here, the teleporters don't work, which is funny because I relied on the teleporters before I built this little floor here, but there's a garage above this surface here, and you can see there's a vehicle there. That's where the teleporter is supposed to lead you to, and then there's this doorway right there. It just goes out to where we just were, kinda, but now you've got this vehicle, a little entrance you wouldn't have even noticed before. So, yeah, this base actually, this one was a little cooler. This one really kind of had to be efficient, and you can kind of see the different levels too here from this point of view. These poison plants have gotten a little out of control. There weren't as many of them here before, but really, if you follow the path that I had built here, there's less of them. But that's base number 5. And that's kind of the first chapter of bases. I'd say really, technically, there's probably 3 chapters. Bear with me though, because the other chapters aren't quite as fleshed out as this one. This is what I would call chapter 1 in terms of my play sessions with this game and when I decided to go hard with the building. So after the way station, there were kind of a couple different things. There's the relay station, and there's the Forgotten Outpost. The Forgotten Outpost is something that I believe I built. There's 2 different things it could be. I tried to name things in a way that just sort of stood out in my mind as far as like how I thought maybe I would remember which base was which. That usually works, but isn't always the case. There's definitely 2 or 3 of my bases in this game that I don't remember right off the top of my head. I'll remember them as soon as I load in and see it, but... Okay. This base... I remember this one now. So this little outpost is not so much of an outpost. It's this whole little kind of pre-made AI relay station over here. And this is sophisticated because this base... We're officially in Act 2 of my base building. This is when I decided to finally start taking my bases to the next level. I first started off by finding this interesting building here, which is friendly. Build my portal in it. I can hack into this door here. No problem. Just kind of a cool little setup. Then you've got some friendly little merchants and stuff that kind of hang out here. It's all just convenient. So, as always, I don't think I'm going to trust the portals in the game right now, but this outpost here was connected by a series of portals that would take you down to there, which you can see from here. There's a little town, and then there's a halfway point, but the town down there is where I'm trying to go. So at this point, we're not trusting the portals. I'm just going to take the ship. Now this town down here is my whole second base. Now this base I know is definitely overtaken because this is the first time when I came back to this base after a while, it was the first time I realized that the overgrowth could like reclaim your base if you weren't active in it enough. But this is a thing of the past. This was a town that I built. I decided that I wanted to go ahead and just build a whole little city block, a whole strip. Now the road is buried, but there was a road that would just go all the way up this way. Yeah, you'd be walking under this technically, so yeah, this really got buried. These entire buildings are gone. This was kind of like a little warehouse type thing here. You can see the drone in there managing. This was another type of lab type building, and you know, like a circular dome here with a bunch of sun panels. Had a bottom level that just had more like lab equipment. Kind of had a two-part building here that had a overhang. I had a whole actual sort of town center here that was all decked out with all kinds of cool decorations. Got a bank, more or less. This town has seen better days. Better days. And this was kind of a multi-level hotel type complex. The door is buried. This was a this was kind of like a herbery, if that's even a word, a herbery. Dispensary, you know, a place with like herbs and stuff. Next door you actually had the place where you're growing it all. So this is cool. This isn't totally buried. And then this was like a bar slash club area. A little concert venue. Thought it was actually cool. A little bar up top here. You can see all that. And then it just gets even more ridiculous from there, because then it connects to another like relay type station that was just already here that I just kind of built on top of. Seems like it's a little janky right now. This is actually a landing pad, but I went ahead and took it over, and this is just a whole garage now. There's several vehicles in here. Landing pad is not necessary for this town, especially because you can just land your plane anywhere. And this town doesn't really take traffic. Some of my towns do. This one doesn't. It's just kind of self-sufficient. It's got a whole power system back here, extra storage. Garden here. There's even this little. Oh, there was like a back entrance there, I guess. Either something's not right or I broke something when I was building at some point. Normally you should be able to go back there. I want to say I had like an underground part. There was a cellar. It wasn't a full-blown basement. It was like a cellar, but I want to say that's probably buried now. I didn't see it over there. And then there's just kind of this like temple type thing, yeah, in the back here. I was really just trying to throw some extra stuff together to make this town seem more complete. But that's really kind of it for this one. I mean, it's a shame that it's in such sad shape, because this was one of the first bases that I really just kind of put my all into, instead of like the first couple you saw. There is actually an upper office level too, which is where sort of, I guess, my character would hang out. And it's a little glitched out right now too, but that would be that right there. And it had a nice little view of the whole strip. Now there's just these little dino creatures just overrunning everything. 'Tis a shame, 'tis a shame. This planet isn't one of my favorite ones. That being said. But so that's basically two different bases there. We saw kind of the relay and this this town here. So I'm gonna go back up here to the portal and travel to another one. I think I decided to call that town Vesper for whatever reason, so I'm going to avoid that, traveling to that location, saving us a trip. got a handful of bases left. There was a little bit more to this Act 2 before I reached Act 3, where I kind of finally just claimed a base for full time. The capital sector, that's my main base. Master portal, that is a place. There are portals that you use in this game. I guess I could show you guys at some point. Vesper portals we're going to ignore. Secret facility, this is, I'll show you guys this one. This was definitely what I would also consider an Act 2 base. A base that I put some more thought into, but I ended up not really settling here a whole lot. This one was also a pretty cool planet, which was just one of those that really inspired me to be like, okay, I need to build something here. There were a couple times where I had that happen too. And as much as I did in this game, there was really a whole lot more I could do. I kind of ended up burning myself out more trying to build as many bases as I could, instead of just really kind of what I probably could have done and just gone all out, picked a planet, just totally colonized it. This, I believe I'm underwater here, as I'm glitching out. Okay, it seems to have settled. I'm a little confused. Some of these bases actually would be, I guess, a little risky to actually load into, because a lot of what I did in the old No Man's Sky days did rely heavily on portals. I actually do... Okay, this is the base that I thought it was. I remember this base now. I think what happened was this platform that I had here, it was located in a glitch. And that glitch has since then been fixed. So, it kind of leaves me with but one choice. And that is that I'm going to have to demolish this. Delete. Delete. Uh-oh. Yeah, that's not what I wanted to have happen. Okay, well, got saved from that. So I probably won't be messing with a whole lot of the underwater parts of this base. Let me get back to regular gameplay. So yeah, I got some landing pads here. It's actually a pretty interesting ship that's landed here. Like, wow. So we're above ground now. That little glitch, I don't know what that was going on before. This is actually a beautiful planet during the day. It's still interesting. I went kind of crazy. I made a whole little extra forest here with the trees. It was one of the Quicksilver rewards at one point. This is mainly a beach. But while we're waiting for the sun to come up and whatnot, and just kind of look around a little bit. Kind of run around, and you can see there's all these trees here pretty much I placed, at least in this immediate vicinity, just to kind of add some little life to this area. Now if you go past all that, there's this little fort here. You get inside. It's interesting actually, because there was a gate here leading into the fort. This game is just kind of one of those, I guess it's just really punishing you for neglecting certain bases. I come back and certain things are missing or they're not how they should be. This base is probably my most glitchy one so far, so I'm going to take it easy on this one. But this teleporter here would lead down below the lake that was outside into an underground facility that was kind of like a cool Atlantis type looking thing, because it had these fancy statues. And it ultimately led to a spot underneath the map to where the game would not even process where you were. It was kind of just a blank space. And it was fun, but it's all kind of messed up now. If any base was going to get crashed, I guess it was this one. On the surface here, this fort really is just kind of really simple. It was meant to more or less be the front, when the facility under the lake is kind of like the real base. Yeah, there's even like an underground tunnel actually that can take you there too. There's two different ways to get down to the underneath there, and this area is totally just taken over now. It's like buried in sand. That used to be a tunnel that I built. It's so crazy to come back and see. I've basically lost my foothold in certain parts of the universe now since I haven't been back in so long. Don't even have my basic doorway into the fort. I had to fly over the wall, which I guess that that's secure. Now the only thing about this whole setup is the portal out of here is in the facility that is sort of just messed up underground right now. So what I'm gonna have to do is just ditch this planet. This is kind of like a purple planet with red water during the day. At night it's not so fancy. I would stick around and show you guys, but since that base is just a whole mess, we're gonna call that one a flop. I couldn't really show you a whole lot of that one, so that's unfortunate. I'm gonna fly just enough into space here to where, so you can either call the anomaly or you can fly to the nearest space station. Which, actually, I'm gonna fly to the space station. You guys can see the whole solar ship with its flaps out and everything, flying through deep space. I really actually like this ship a lot. It's pretty cool. And then we'll watch it put itself back together. Ta-da! Alright, let's find your local portal, guys. There it is. Moving on. So, that was the secret facility. This one was kind of a bust. There's still several more. Let's go look at the Helicarrier. This is a base that I built. Another phase 2 base where I kind of really went hard. I really wanted to settle here, but I had so much going on at the time that I built this base, and I had finally actually found the location that I really decided to make my main base. So this area kind of just fell a little bit short. But this base is always one of my favorite because I really kind of just broke the game here in a way that doesn't really make sense, but I was able to just kind of take it and run with it. Basically, this planet is a stormy, kind of rainy planet, and it has high mountains. Now what I did was I came to one of the highest mountains I could find, and I built a ramp. Climbed the ramp a little bit, got up here, built a bunch of stuff, then destroyed the ramp that led up here, and despite the ramp being destroyed and it being the only support to the ground or anything, the structure up here remained, to the point of where I just kind of leaned into it, and I just turned it into a whole like helicarrier type ship. It's a base, but it's also kind of a ship. It's not functional, it doesn't fly, it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't do anything, but visually, yeah, it's a ship. It's wonderful. And let's see, since I am in creative mode, I believe there is a way that I can break away. Oh, it's when you're building, I think. Yeah, so you select a part. There we go. Kind of just like your little free look. So yeah, you can see how high I am in the air. Like that water down there, that's the surface of the planet. I really found just kind of like one of the highest mountains around I could find. Like that one's pretty tall over there, but and here it is. It's the two wings are actually both landing pads, so I can land other ships on it. There's a top little area with kind of like a lab leading up to it in the neck there, which I'll get a like glance at all that. And then the whole center area is kind of just like the town area, like it's all functional. And then this is just for fun. I built this as kind of like the cockpit. Leads right underneath from the main area. And then I kind of actually built some other ships on the side just to kind of get like a full fleet look and feel. This ship here specializing specifically in just having a bunch of vehicles with a hole in the center, so you can just kind of jump in a vehicle and then just drop and have a nice tumble all the way to the planet's surface. It's actually kind of fun. Um, and then last but not least is this little ship over here. This one I didn't even make functional. It was at one point, but I decided to just close it off. It's just kind of like a human little transport ship, and these were meant to be like little escape pods. And that's really it. It's just cool. It's there. It's kind of given the vibe of this whole fleet type thing. But yeah, the main focus is the big ship here. This is the actual base. It's kind of a lot going on here. There's actually one of my vendors, I guess, one of my attendants. There's that guy. So I have all the people actually here attending this ship right now. Yeah, there's this guy. So that's why at a lot of the other bases you didn't see other guys, because these stations were all unmanned because they're all here on this planet. And this base, it seems fully intact, minus the fact that the teleporter isn't working, so I can't take you to the upper level of the ship, unfortunately. But the cockpit at least is down here, right underneath these stairs, so there's that. I don't have to worry about that part. But that's pretty much it. Without being able to show you guys the top, that's really a bummer. And you got a convenient portal right here in the front. Nice view of the sky. I'm really kind of surprised, since a lot of the bases have kind of been messed with, that this one's still just going strong. Just defying gravity, floating in the sky here. Let's see, I've got a couple more. Let's finish up Act 2 before we finally get into Act 3. So I've got what I decided to call here Trash Lantis. That was in pretty much theme with, I was playing, I believe, a Borderlands game at the time, and I just decided to go with Trash Lantis because this is an underwater base. It is kind of cool, but ultimately I'm not the biggest fan of underwater anything, so I kind of just tried to get this base built nice, and then I just got the heck out of here, and I don't really come back and mess with this base. But it's kind of scratching another one of the different aspects of this game, the fact that there's like a whole underwater environment. You can kind of do all that. Looks like, however, we have run into another issue of a base not working properly for whatever reason. This is interesting that I'm actually getting this gameplay, because I'm wondering what your guys' thoughts on this stuff may be, as if this is happening to you, or if, maybe there's just something that I'm not giving enough time to load. I've stood here for a second, but who knows. I can still go into the build mode and destroy things if need be to break my way out of here. But there we go. Oh, everything's loading in now. Just all of a sudden. Well, Well, except for the fact that I'm still stuck down on the bottom here. I'm not sure what that's about, why I'm in this like little chamber here. It's really weird, to be honest. And I'm destroying half the base just trying to get out of here. Yeah, see, I'm still stuck in this chamber. It's so weird. Oh well, I guess my Atlantis base needed to go. So actually a lot of it still seems to be intact. I can get in over here. It just looks like maybe the portal room's messed up. And of course there's probably going to be teleporter issues, so won't be messing with any teleporters. Yeah, okay, so here's the actual teleporter. So I can leave easily enough. Looks a little different from the last time I was here. But yeah, like a legit underwater base. Thought this was kind of cool. And one of the things too that's interesting about this base, there was like this little, yeah, here it is, this big old chunk of rock nearby. And it's actually part of the base. Now the question is though, the teleporter looks like may take us over there. We're gonna risk it. Alright. Yep, teleporter worked. Now the funny thing about this is, yeah, I was gonna say it's not loading in right. Okay, so this base has been totally taken back by the environment. Yeah, there was this little kind of building here at the top of that rock that I pointed out, but I had a whole tunnel, a spiral tunnel, dug all the way through this rock, pretty close to the base down there. The Atlantis base, wherever it is again. And then a teleporter linking it the rest of the way. Some of this base is still here. This one didn't get hit too bad. I like the ship ruins and stuff in the distance with this one. But yeah, a large part of what made this base cool is gone. So now it's really just about the underwater part, which is convenient. I guess I can still use that to get to the actual teleporter inside the base. So that's how I'm going to get off this planet and move on to the next base. But yeah, this was something that I just kind of did. Thought it was important to have an underwater base, you know. I just went a whole circle and it was over here the whole time. It does look cool though. You can see the whole thing from even above water. Go back in the way. Pretty much end up using the submarine pit. Yeah, this right here is your entrance. Alright. I don't know if I can get back in. Alright. Now back to the teleporter, which is right over there. Some of these base experiences aren't exactly going as how I'd planned. I wanted some of this is I wanted you to see more of what I've done, but some of it's getting a little messed up. We're going to go ahead and check out the Quicksilver Colony. This is the last of what I would say my Phase 2 base building was. This is another base that I actually did kind of put together decently. I built it someone had built this like tree base that was just one of the most epic bases I'd ever seen on the other side of this river that's going by. And the whole base got despawned for some reason at some point, so now I'm the only base. But this base was built in point for colonizing this planet, because back in the day when I was doing the Quicksilver grind, this was the planet to do that on. And this base actually got completely overtaken by the growth like some of the other bases, but I have actually already come back and for the most part cleaned this whole base up, so it's kind of been given new life. It was once buried. It's a little ugly now. It's not quite as clean as it was the first time, but it's mostly been cleaned up now. So we got a little port here, little river access down there. There's a submarine. And it's pretty much what you guys saw. There's this little area here which goes kind of back in the back here. Got some stations, nice little hallway area, some tanks, some display area. There's a lobby actually going around the other hallway. Just a cool little kind of station. And actually, this was another like fully efficient one. Yeah, see, we got a lobby here. This was a good base. And I liked actually because even while you were down here messing around, maybe in the docks here, you got like the overhang, you can still see everything. And with this dock being right here, I would just get used to taking, like, running up to my plane, taking off, flying straight up, hitting the galaxy at warp speed, and trying to see if I could get a Quicksilver constellation to pop up. Doing that over and over again, and then reloading my save back at this base. Even this little area kind of not completely cleared out, but this place was totally buried at one point, so this is a success story as far as like going back and looking at old bases. So, but that was kind of the end of Wave 2. Now, we're going to focus on Wave 3. We're going to go to Elysium, which is more or less kind of what I would consider my main base. I technically kind of built this base around like my Phase 2 time frame, like when I was playing that game, kind of still for my second win. But this is a game that was, or this base was kind of pre-established. It's another thing I took advantage of that was in the world that had a random chance of spawning, and this one was particularly tall. And I went ahead and just decided to deck it out. Gonna land on the platform here. And then it's kind of on a porch here, a balcony. This is a snowy, icy planet. Very snowy. But we're in like a little nice big facility here. But you come in the door here, and this is kind of like the main area of my base now. This is the main level. I've got all kinds of stuff crammed in here. And there was a teleporter system that would lead all the way to the top of this massive facility where there was an office up top and a landing pad. But that teleporter is no good. It's the first teleporter that I ever realized was messed up when I came back to it, so the only way to access the top level now is by plane. But you go out the front door here, there's a bunch of activity, some local people. This whole little walkway is here, but I've just kind of built everything on it. Since the snow was so brutal here, I literally went ahead and built walls and ceilings and pillars and lights and everything for this entire thing that was literally just this floor. Before it was just the railings. It was like it's a kind of a dock area. As you can see nearby, we've got plenty of landing pads that were already here. So this is a combination of stuff that I build versus stuff that the environment just provided. There's an actual merchant guy right here. But it's pretty cool. We've got a little defense mech. I guess I could go ahead and call my ship. Take you guys up to the top office, which is no longer accessible by ground, but we can still get to it. You can kind of, I'll take a step back here, fly away for a minute, because then you can see this facility from a distance. Yeah. So when you fly up on it, this is what it looks like. And you can see even on the side there where I had like a bunch of stuff that was kind of like my portal system back in the day when that used to work. But it would get you all the way up here. And these are like the Overseer's Tower. This is where I would usually bring my character when I was going to log off or whatever, so that I would spawn here. Just nothing super crazy, just a nice little awesome tower in the sky with quite the view. I was pretty proud of this one. Now this teleporter works. It'll take me down here to the halfway point, or there's actually 2 points. And then that teleporter would take you to another kind of room that was like this. and then follow in that room, and that would take you all the way back down to the bottom here. Yeah, you can just kind of see everything that I threw together here. It's ridiculous. But it helps keep the snow out. As far as like if you're in here messing around and it just looks great, I think. I'm really proud of this one. This base is one of my favorite accomplishments in No Man's Sky. I definitely sometimes have like my merchants here, like my weapons guy can be right there. My scientists in here. I do have a little one of the mountains nearby, not even a mountain over there. There's a slight little mining room. Just got some mining equipment in that hole dug in that hill over there, mountain, whatever you want to call that. Nothing super fancy, but kind of got some resources going. So this base is self-sufficient. One of my main ones. Often I'll have the fleet over top of this one. Now, once I claimed that base, I kind of finally just decided that I was good on this game with a lot of stuff. I was good on quests, on building, on experiencing the game, understanding it. So I stepped away, and there were various different updates over time. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to load Overlords Retreat. Now, Overlords Retreat, this is an interesting base because this came with the update that added new construction stuff, which for me was probably one of the biggest updates of this game because that's just the content that I wanted. There was new building materials. I didn't go super hard because it was also the update that had a settlement that you were in control of, and managing that settlement was in this galaxy, so I chose a neighboring planet to kind of just come over here and test some of the new building materials, like this sort of Tatooine looking stone material you see here right now. Even kind of how the door opens. And this is kind of just a little it's a little farm, really. It's kind of a nice little self-sustained system here. It's got a really tiny relay station. This is what I targeted when I came here to build. I just filled it with a bunch of stuff, made it my own, and then I built a couple buildings there. That portal building, like you just saw. This one, kind of just the town center. I could have a bunch of people staffed here if I. This is kind of like my escape, I guess. And then here I built a cool little modern house. This was one of the other materials for the DLC. Kind of little kitchen type looking thing. Really comfy little house, actually. Like, this one's pretty cool, even though it's a little simpler than the last one we looked at, but this one's pretty cozy. And then you even got a little porch here with a back door. And kind of this like little backyard type experience here. Pretty cool. That's really about all there is to it. I'm not going to show you guys my settlement just because that's not something that I actually built. That's like an AI community. If you guys have played the game, you probably know what I'm talking about. You just sort of make decisions for them and help them kind of develop themselves. But we're getting close to the end of this video. If you guys are still watching, I appreciate it. We've only got, I think, two or three more bases. And one of them's pretty quick. But we're kind of in like the final act now of the building. Like this is kind of where I came. I was experimenting a little bit when I was messing with this one. Then we got New Earth. This one I just I sought this planet out because I had found a decent amount of planets to build on, but if there was one thing that I was missing at a certain point, it was a planet that was very Earth-like, very lush, very pretty, green, beautiful. I just wanted to have a planet like that among my long list of bases that I was kind of accumulating by this point in the game. I didn't go as hard on this one. This is another one that I took advantage of something that was already in the environment. This time it was one of the trade stations. These trade stations are usually some of the places that you are good to go to in various systems for just kind of ship farming. You'll hang out there and wait for ships to arrive. I built a slight situation on top of it here, slightly expecting there to be some kind of a mess when I got back here with a glitch and whatnot. But yeah, it looks like it might actually be doing alright. Yeah, we see we got some ships landing there. Yeah, so this base, the New Earth, and we'll show it off a little bit. Got a little station here. This is kind of this upper level ring here. This I thought was kind of cool actually. I started playing with lights and colors and whatnot. I don't normally do that. You can actually change the colors of like everything, the furniture, the rugs, all that. I don't usually do that just because I tend to get a little bit lazy and more in trying to execute the actual construction of my visions. But sometimes I get a little creative. There's this kind of like cafeteria type situation here. Kind of wanted to make this one a little bit more of like a public base, kind of like a facility that could just like accommodate travelers. You know, you got some bunk beds here and stuff. Got a whole cafeteria, whole like little community room here. Then you got the portal room here that I was using, and of course the consistent theme of there being a portal that doesn't work. That portal would just take you down to the base level of the trade center though. So what I just kind of walked you guys through there, this is what I built. I just built the top level. The bottom level here with all these ships landing in, there's like a little area here where AI characters just kind of walk around. There's like some benches. Nothing super fancy, but that's what was already here. Some of you guys may have seen these buildings before. I just built on top of it. And as you can kind of see with the lights coming in a little bit more. My ship's down here, that's interesting. You can kind of see how this is a little bit closer to Earth. Minus the fact that there's just this epic sky here. The last little thing I built, for some reason I wanted to build like a pyramid type thing. So this is the actual last part of this base here. When I actually built this little gazebo type thing here. Hang out, sit, get a nice little view. Thought it was pretty cool. And then the pyramid here actually is just a glorified garage for a hover vehicle that can go out across the water. Just wanted to build a pyramid, no particular reason why, but that's what I did. And so now, wasn't really my plan to fall, but I guess we can go ahead and ended up checking out the trade center after all. Climb the ladder here. And there was one of the updates too, I think it was also pretty cool that made that robot there, which he's wandering around somewhere now, I guess. He can patrol now. He's not just something you control anymore. He actually can wander around and protect you and fight if sentinels attack or whatever. Yeah, see, here's the local community. I even kind of went and boxed this in, so I guess it's cool that we got to come and look at this, because normally you can see all these little fence pieces and these windows here. That was me installing all that. Wow, the mech is up top. That's interesting. So he's actually like guarding the actual docks. Very cool, very cool. So I'm going to try to defy my way back up here. Yeah, there's an entrance right there. A way I can get up here. That's not the way I wanted that to go, though. But if I can just jetpack back up to these stairs here, I can use this teleporter to get out of here without having to rely on broken short-range teleporter anymore. But yeah, New Earth. So that's pretty much that. As far as any bases worth mentioning, I think I've got Roshi's Island, which isn't really much of a base. It's just a planet that's mostly water that I found a cool little island on. I guess we'll check out New Mustafar. Everything else is either just a space station that I had to stop at, or some place in space that I needed to throw down a command computer because I was either farming for ships or doing a quest or something. But yeah, we'll check out New Mustafar. This base is pretty cool. It's not one that I put as much effort into. Out of all the bases that we've seen, this was definitely one of my more medium ones. This base had to be totally rebuilt. It's actually been a minute since I've been here, so we'll see how this one goes. But I had built a base on a volcanic planet that actually had volcanoes and stuff that I thought was really cool. and for something just happened to that one, like it's just gone. I can't even explain it. It never loaded up again. So I wanted to have a base on a volcanic planet, so I went out and found another volcanic planet and built a whole new base. This one's literally, you know, on a volcano, so we'll just have eruptions taking place right overhead. Nothing super sophisticated here. Kind of come in here, just like this little sort of bar slash chill area. It's really simple but really cool. Couldn't tell you where that portal takes you. It's been so long since I've been here, and it definitely doesn't work. But that's all there really is to that. You've got your teleporter right here. And just double checking real quick to make sure maybe there's anything else. I guess we'll go to Master Portals. That'll be the base that I end this video on. I am looking forward to hopefully maybe some more content this year. Let me know in the comments if you guys have been playing this game, what you've accomplished in it, what your favorite update was, maybe what you're hoping to get from this game. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and go to this base. This isn't really a base either. This is something I just needed a place to be able to travel to where you can have the actual master portal. The portal that the game provides, where you give it like a certain set of coordinates and you can just travel to any point in the galaxy. Usually helpful if people online are trying to spot something for you, like a certain planet or a certain location. But I thought it would be convenient to have a tiny little base near a portal. And what was extra convenient about this planet is this planet from time to time has the giant flying worms, which were a big deal when they first dropped. This base also used to have a neighbor base as well, that was actually built after my base, and it has since then disappeared. So, but yeah, you can see that down there. That's the master portal. If you played the game, you probably recognize one of those. It's just convenient to have one kind of on standby. And all I built here was just this quick little room to kind of take shelter in if need be. Back room, there was a second room here. It's a bedroom. Totally overgrown, overtaken. Not a big surprise. But that's pretty much it. That is my more or less kind of a rough walkthrough of my No Man's Sky experience. Got to see even my freighter and some of my ships. If you guys like this content, I will probably definitely be doing some kind of video in the future, depending on what the future updates may bring. I'm really hoping for an like a full-blown expansion for this game still. I've kind of been late to the mark on this game, though. I've been playing it for a couple years now, so I hope you guys really still are interested in games like this. Next up, I'm probably going to talk about my Conan experience. So as far as if you just like seeing some of the bases and what I come up with, make sure you guys keep checking out these videos and give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and as always guys, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.